Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Joined by Mark Watkins, as I am each Thursday. Hey, Mark, we have a ton to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the up and down of Blake Treinen. We're going to talk maybe a little Kyle Hurt. We're going to talk a little bit about World Baseball Classic, some Roki, Sasaki, Tyler Glasnow. Edgardo Henriquez looked fairly good the other day, so maybe what his role might be. Jacob Amaya, we saw him the other day. Remember, he was the young man that the Dodgers traded for Miguel Rojas a couple of years ago. We're going to get into him. The expectations we have for Freddie Freeman this year as Father Time starts to catch up with him. So lots to talk about today. How are you doing? What's on top of your mind in terms of Dodgers baseball?
Doing great, Casey. Thanks. Hope you are too. But excited to join you as always. And it was. There's been some encouraging performances this week, and just looking back over the numbers, the regulars that are supposed to be in the Dodger lineup they've been hitting really well this spring. So that's encouraging. We've had a lot of young players that have performed really well, particularly some of the pitchers. So that's exciting to see. But it's there's a lot going on with the WBC, which unfortunately I haven't been able to see much of that. But there's a lot of things going on right now this time of spring.
Only so much bandwidth in a day, 24 hours, and I've been knee-deep in Oklahoma State coverage. So I've had to kind of just refine it down to Dodgers spring training. I know Nolan McClain the other day started for Team USA, gave up 3 runs. Nolan is a friend of mine. We worked baseball camps at Oklahoma State together. He actually didn't pitch a whole lot at OSU. He was out of North Carolina. He actually played quarterback at Oklahoma State for his freshman year there. That goes to show you the kind of arm he has. And so at OSU, he tried to be a position player, first baseman, third baseman, a little bit of outfield, could hit the ball a mile, but then decided to be a pitcher only, and has really excelled since he got into the pro ball game the other day. So Nolan McClain, it was exciting to see one of my Oklahoma State boys. He actually played on the same team as Zach Earhart and Justin Robleski. So I thought that was cool.
Oh, wow. It's interesting.
And that was cool. And then just overall, I thought it was kind of ridiculous that the manager of Team USA didn't quite know the rules to all the tiebreakers. That was kind of I thought that was a little bit of a slap in the face, but it was good to see Team USA advance. Anything you want to say about anything I just said right there?
Yeah, I've been following it, just in the news. I haven't really had the time to watch the games like you mentioned, only so much bandwidth. But Italy is obviously very surprising. It was nice that they that beat Mexico yesterday, so it allowed the Dodgers to get in. But or not the Dodgers, the Team USA to get in. But it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
So is there anything I love putting my tinfoil hat on, especially I think, of course, at any time usually I ask a question that's rhetorical, because if I'm asking a question, I obviously think there's at least a portion of truth to the question I'm asking, at least the content of what's inside of the question, right? So it's a little bit rhetorical. Good morning, Chuck. If you want to join Chuck, I will leave the link here in just a second. So Roki Sasaki pitched really well the other day in the World Baseball Classic. Okay, he's pitching for Team Japan. He's around Shohei Ohtani. He's around Yoshinobu Yamamoto, which he's in around them when he's with the Dodgers. Here's kind of my theory here. This is my coach's brain. He gets around all the other Japanese players. He's in his environment, his culture. But more so than anything, Mark, he's the best player out of all those guys. He's the one that they're looking up to, instead of being the guy that's really just trying to fit in like he is with the Dodgers. So it just looks like to me, just watching him pitch, and I did get to see some of this, whenever he's in that role where other guys are looking up to him, and he's the guy that everybody's going, wow, that's Roki Sasaki, versus Roki coming to America and it being the exact opposite, he just looked a lot more comfortable to me. Am I way too far out in the weeds there maybe?
Well, there could be some. I mean, I didn't get to see him pitch to know whether he looked comfortable or not, but there could definitely be something to that. If people are kind of relying on you, more to be that guy, maybe that gives him some more adrenaline, and pumps him up a little bit, and there could be something to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned the young pitchers are so far early on in spring training that have stuck out to you. Who are those guys? Let's cover them.
Well, one of your favorite guys, I would say, Antonio Knowles. He's pitched 4 shutout innings, so that's encouraging.
Let me get some video up on the board of him. Talk about him and what's impressed you about him, and we'll play some video and we'll get after that.
Well, one thing is he has a great curveball. I've seen, or it actually hasn't been 4 shutout innings. I should say 2.1 shutout innings, but he's been in 4 games. So, yeah, he's looked good out there. Really good curveball, as I mentioned. And
call him the spin doctor. It's actually a slider that he adds depth to, and they call him a spin doctor because that pitch is so good. Because that one right there that you just saw, it looks like a curveball when he adds depth to it, no doubt.
Yeah. So he's really looked good to me this spring. And then Ronan Kopp has also been pitching well. So. He's let's see what he's done. I was looking at his numbers earlier. He's had five innings so far, 5 shutout innings. So he's looked pretty good out there. Chris Campos, you talked a lot about him too, and I believe you say he's a great guy. I think when you talked to him, as far as I remember.
Chris Campos. Let me get some. We were looking at Ronan Kopp here, trying to keep up with you there. Chris Campos is a world class dude. Super chill. I mean, like the beach bum type super chill. And then when he gets on the field, he just turns into a savage. I mean, it's like he's out there just to slay people. And I got on my post the other day. I got a kick out of it because there's that changeup. See that kick change that he learned? That's pretty big time. To go with the slider and his fastball. That fastball has really good carry to it. You can see a major league hitter right there is having trouble catching up with that. And then the changeup and the slider, really good combination. And he's super chill, big-time savage. There's that changeup again. So in my post, I said, Chris Campos is so competitive that he would strike out his mother and then offer to buy her a Porsche afterwards, which is kind of funny because if you go back to our interview in the offseason, he bought his dad. I can't remember what it was he bought his dad whenever he signed his professional contract. And he promised his mother that if he ever signed a major league contract, the first thing he would buy would be a Porsche. What is it, a 914? So I thought that was funny that, he would strike out his mother. He's that competitive. Then he would go buy her a Porsche. And his mother actually responded on the Instagram. You can go look at it on that post. She said, nah, that boy ain't striking me out. So it's like, oh, well, I know where he gets that confidence from, right? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I thought that was a really cool story. Just kind of behind the curtains of Chris Campos.
Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, I mean, you need that competitiveness on the mound, so that should bode well for him.
Some other guys that you've been impressed with pitching-wise?
Let's see. Adam Serwinowski has gotten a couple of innings in, so a couple shutout innings. Peyton Martin, and then I mentioned Ronan Kopp. Jeremy Rosario's gotten a couple innings in. Yeah. Jackson Ferris. So.
Let's stop right there. Let's talk about Adam Serwinowski. Serwinowski's a guy not on the 40-man, not at this moment projected to be a guy that will make his major league debut this year. Let me bring this back up, and I know we've talked about him before, but you can't say it too many times. And that is, this guy is going to be Rule 5 eligible at the end of this year. So which that means this time next year, it is a 100% chance that he will be on the Dodgers 40-man roster. 100% chance. I'm not even putting 99.9. So the Dodgers traded for him this past season out of the Reds organization, and he absolutely just kicked ass with the Great Lakes Loons at the high A level. Got moved up to Double A Tulsa, made that look pretty easy in his outings there. This is a big dude with really good stuff, that sweeping slider, unique motion, and you talk about one competitive dude. That is Adam Serwinowski. So this is a guy that I think if all hell breaks loose, he is that next guy level of depth. But don't be – I mean, it's not out of the question that Adam Serwinowski make his major league debut this year. If for no other reason, yes, he's very good, but he will have to get protected next offseason, so why not do it at the end of this year and just give him a cup of coffee and see what you got to springboard him in to next season, which will be 2027, which I think there's a 99.9% chance if he hasn't made his major league debut by then, he would by 2027.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And big lefty like that with that kind of stuff. I mean, he'll, if the Dodgers don't protect him, he'll 100% be picked up by some other team. So I agree with you there. I think there's a very little chance he doesn't get added to the 40-man roster.
When you watch him pitch here, what sticks out to you about the big lefty here for Serwinowski?
Well, I mean, he looks like he has good extension, besides his size. And he's got a little bit of a funky delivery, which could be tricky for hitters, I think. But as you said, that looks like he has a really good sweeping curveball there that kind of bores in on righties. So he looks impressive, definitely.
I cannot wait to get your opinion on this because you are a absolute diehard fan, and so I think. But you have kind of a coach's brain. I'm sure you've coached somewhere along the way. Just talking to you, I haven't ever even asked you that question, but just listening to you talk, I'm drawn to your thoughts. And usually, I'm drawn to people who have the type of process-minded brain, and those types of people have coached somewhere along the way because you've had to deal with the process over the results, which is why you get to that kind of that mindset. So, I'm curious to get your opinion because you have that perfect mix of rabid, hardcore fan versus also the okay, let's look at the overall picture process focus. So back up, give us your honest 100%. Where are we at with Blake Treinen? I keep going back and forth. Every time the wind blows, I'm going to change my mind. So I got to go to somebody that's going to be a little more stable. Where are we at on Blake Treinen?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one with Blake Treinen. I mean, I guess you could say he made improvement in his last outing because he got through the inning without giving up any runs. So he got a little bit lucky in that inning. But he looked a little better than he did last time. So I see, some signs of improvement, which are encouraging, obviously from the time before that when he had a terrible outing. So I think that just seeing the signs of improvement in him is encouraging, and hopefully, he'll keep taking steps forward as the spring goes along because, he had a long layoff. So you have to realize that it's going to take a little while for him to get back into the groove. So, I think, being the guy that he is with the history that he is, as long as he's healthy, I do believe that he's going to pull it together, and be big for them this year. So.
Hey, we got Chuck on the line here, and so we're going to bring Chuck in. Chuck, what's going on, my man? This is going to kind of, I think, mess up our picture here, but that's okay. All right, so we got Chuck on the line here. Actually, I'm going to go to the solo part of this, and it's just going to be me on the screen. So let's do this. This is going to be a little – give me just a second here. Bring in both of our audio. What's up, guys? So it's just me on the screen right now, but then we've got Chuck and Mark on the line. So what's up, guys?
That's good for me. I don't have my picture up there.
Yeah.
I was freezing up, so I missed a little bit of that because my TV screen was locking up on me. I just wanted. I'm not going to go to spring training, by the way. My wife's gotten sick, and I think I'm coming down with something. And I mean, it's like going to be about $3,000, to go another. Yeah. So I was able to cancel yesterday, so I canceled everything. I'm selling my tickets, so hopefully they all get sold. But no, I want to tell you that because I promised you videos.
Oh yeah, no problem.
But I am planning on going down to Ontario maybe in April, so I wouldn't mind if Mark's around at one of the games I'm there saying hi. Now I don't want to sit. I don't want to sit with you and distract you while you're trying to analyze stuff because I know how that goes. You sit with someone, and before long, it's like you haven't even watched the game.
Yeah, true. Well, I'd be happy to meet you there, though. Yeah,
I did that last year at spring training, and one of the scouts, I was down there real close, and I was asking him, and I was there the first game that Sasaki pitched, and I was looking at, and he had a radar gun, right? And I go, well, how fast was that? How about the next one? And the guy was really nice. He was really nice to me. And then he goes, well, look up at the scoreboard. In that little corner right there, they have that little box. And they were putting this. And it was a little tiny thing. I thought, oh, okay, well, I get it, Right. But he was really nice. He explained a lot of stuff. And I fell in love with the, with the ball strike thing, I love that they're going to do that. I just wish there was one more challenge, or make it where in the ninth inning, regardless if you've used your challenges, you have a challenge in the ninth inning, starting with extra innings for me, but I love it. But I love your analysis, Mark. I mean, you guys I've learned so much since I've been watching Casey's channel and your stuff. I'm not as good at like breaking down a player like you guys are, but my or like in-game strategy. I coached in Little League and Babe Ruth and all that stuff, and like I told Casey, I was a backup catcher in junior college and never got into a game because my coach needed a third catcher, you know. But I love baseball. I was an orphan, so I didn't get to play organized ball growing up at all. So it's kind of hard to actually have any skill set, you know, when you don't actually get a chance to play, because I live with 5 different families, you know.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard. I love baseball, though. I mean, Vin Scully was like my daddy to me. I mean, dude, I cried when he died.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, he was incredible. You know, I fell asleep listening to him like many nights. You know, growing up on my little transistor radios.
Oh yeah, me too. You know what? I had to wash dishes one night and my radio fell in the sink water, and I about had a heart attack because how was I going to get another one? You know. And unfortunately, it came back in a few days. But yeah, I used to take my radio into church. I had to go to church all the time. And when spring training, they're playing in Vero Beach, and I would go in and I would run the wire up my shirt and up to me, and then I would lean on my hand and listen to the Dodger game because it started at 10:30 in California. And so the next 2 hours in church, I was in the back row with listening to the Dodger game.
That's funny. Yeah. I think
you two guys, I'd be curious to get both of your thoughts. Go back and forth a little bit on Blake Treinen. I'm curious. I'm wanting to get as much information as I can on this guy just so I can wrap my brain around where I should be right now. Go back and forth on that.
I'm concerned. For me, I'm concerned because I don't see he can't be consistent. He can't from outing to outing come out and get the ball in the strike zone. And the sweeper, he's not. If he could land that sweeper on the outside corner, you know, that would be the best thing. But the sweeper's a foot to a foot and a half outside when he's throwing it, except occasionally he's landing it. He's not landing his pitches. That's what I don't know what Mark thinks, but that's what I see.
Yeah, I mean, it is concerning, obviously, at this point. But as I mentioned, I think he's shown some signs of progress from, you know, the second to last outing to the last outing. So, you know, I'm the eternal optimist for the Dodgers. You know that. So I'm hoping and praying that he comes around. But yeah, I did see some signs of progress, and I think. He obviously knows how to pitch. So I think it's just a matter of him gaining his command and sharpness of his pitches.
Well, it does seem too like the opponents are staying off of his pitches. I think they're more disciplined now. I think people have made up their mind. They're not going to swing at anything, you know, until they have to. And they're going to take pitches at the beginning of the at-bats. And they're not swinging at anything because they're not going to hit the balls unless he puts it over the plate. And he's not going to swing anything that's spinning.
Right.
Good point. You see spin with Treinen and you lay off because it's not a strike. That's a good point.
Yeah. I've noticed that they have been laying off that sweeper, you know, on the outside a lot more than they have in the past. So I don't know if that's a trend or not, but yeah, we'll have to see how that unfolds.
Well, let me ask you this: either one of you, what kind of leash do you give the guy? I mean, he has one. You know, he held the ball in the 8th inning 2 years ago for the first World Series since 1988. That was 162 games. There's a lot of loyalty there, a lot of trustry there. So, what's the length of the leash here?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, based on his status and what he's done through the years, that they're going to give him a pretty good leash. He'll get a few more outings, I'm sure, in the spring before it's over. So, you know, he'll have a chance to prove himself more. But if he's anywhere close to where he can be, I think he'll still be on the roster come opening day.
Well, I think, you know, if it was 3 or 4 years ago or 5 years ago, considering the talent that we have now, I mean, in the old days, that last guy in the bullpen or next to the last 2 people were people we picked up that we would be DFAing now. And now we have some really talented kids that deserve a shot. So do you hold that spot for him? I mean,
that's the question.
So, you know, when these guys, when they go over to the other side, you know, where they're not, I mean, I don't know. If you're him, do you feel good about holding a spot away from somebody that you made your money? you're not going to need it. You're not going to be destitute. You don't have to have another job. He'll probably make him a coach anyway if he can coach any place he wants. So I feel for him. And
I'll say this. Let me cut you off right there. These guys are so alpha male competitive. There's no way that they'll ever think that anybody would be better than them. They always think next pitch, I'm going to be right back on top of my game. They've always thought that way. You have to be that way in this game of failure. So I don't see any world to where Blake Treinen says, hey, let somebody else have this spot, because that at that point would be giving up on himself. And these guys have way too much confidence to ever do that. That would be my response to that.
Yeah, I would rather quit too soon than too late. Look at Kershaw.
No doubt.
I think Kershaw could come back and pitch another year or two, but I would, I mean, it's unfortunate. The decision's going to have to be made by someone else, and always is anyway. The general manager is going to make the decision, not him, unless he just decides to retire. Sometimes, some of them do it, but not many of them do that.
Mark, you have any final thoughts on Blake Treinen before we get to our Freddie Freeman talk?
Well, I think it's just a matter. Do you think that, let me ask you guys this, do you think his stuff is not as good as it was before?
I think it's every bit as good. I think he has to work a little bit harder because he's a little bit older, his command doesn't quite come as easy as it maybe did in the past. And although I say that, he's also had consistencies in the past. So I think that sweeper is just as good. I think he turns the ball right as well as he ever has in the past. I think it's just a command issue. So I don't know. I don't know what you think. I don't know what you think, Chuck, but I think his stuff, just raw stuff, is as good as it ever has been. In my opinion, it's just the command.
If he dials it in and gets his command, I don't think you want anybody else. In the ninth inning. I mean, we'll have. If we may have three closers. But I don't know who else you want, when the game's on the line, if he gets his command, and he'll do
when
his
he's right.
best
Yes, when he's right.
when he's right.
Yeah.
So I guess, you have to wonder, is it age that's making his command be off? If the stuff is there, then what is making his command be off?
Sometimes whenever you're injured, like he was last year, your body just never quite feels the same. There's no pain, but you make certain adjustments to avoid the pain, and then all of a sudden you don't even realize you've made those adjustments because your body just did them innately to avoid the pain, and then it takes you a while to figure out that you're actually doing that. That's a process, right. And then it takes you to figure out a process, a certain amount of time to fix the issues after you've figured out what they are. So I think there's a lot of that going on with Blake Treinen, that he may have just innately, not even realizing it, made a couple of body adjustments to avoid pain that it took him a while to identify. Now it's taking him even longer to fix. That's kind of where I'm at.
Right. I mean, it's so easy for pitchers to, get out of whack with their mechanics, or just any little thing, that changes because, any tiny little thing, their grip on the ball, or, what angle they're coming out with their arm, or where they're stepping, or where they're at on the rubber. Just so many little things that that they have to be able to repeat over and over. And he just hasn't got into that groove to where, that it'll allow him to have good command.
Okay, let's get into our. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying there's so little room, no margin for error now in pitchers. And another thing, far as about holding a roster spot, that to consider if the ball players making their decision about it, their clubhouse is so good now, and they're so tight, and they love each other, and sounds like they're all people of faith. And I just think that it'd be hard for them to pull the plug too, just because of the camaraderie. They love each other. You can see it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, Freddie Freeman. I'm on record. I know Father Time, man. There's two things: either talent level or Father Time. You don't escape those two. It happens to everybody. So I think a lot of people, especially considering the injuries of Freddie Freeman, are worried that with the injuries and getting a little bit older, are we ever going to see the Freddie Freeman that we saw, say, a couple of years ago? I say yes. I think the fact that he is fully healthy, for one, and then because he's fully healthy, he's had a totally normal offseason. I think those positive factors for him are going to not just outweigh, but heavily outweigh the fact that he is 1 year older, and I think we're going to see way closer to the Freddie Freeman that we've become accustomed to than we did for large stretches of last year. What do you think about that? Either one of you.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked good this spring. He's hitting 471. You know, his OPS is 1121. So I mean, he's really been hitting the ball well and looking good this spring. Even on the balls he's gotten out on, it seems like he's hitting hard. So I think with Freddie, you know, he's had some nagging injuries over the last couple of years, which really have affected his performance. And, you know, as you get older, of course, those things tend to happen more. So that's the difficult part, you know, of getting old, as we all know. But yeah, I think that the way he's hitting the ball right now, he's looking great. So hopefully he just avoids any injuries. And, you know, I think he'll have a really good year if he's able to avoid any types of injuries.
Yeah, I think he's healthier than he's been in 2 years, and
right.
You can't. That stroke he has is amazing. I mean, I think I'm not worried about it for another reason too, is because you have Dalton rushing to play first base because you need a spot for him. So I think Freddie's going to get some time off. I think he's going to be, as long as he doesn't get injured, he's going to be fine. And if you look to the future, I mean, we have a couple even outfielders that might move to first base. We got a lot of first basemen in the system if we need them. I'm not worried about first base because that's one position that easily, you know, people with big bats can go to first base. So I'm not worried about it. And then Freddie, I want to get as much out of Freddie as I can because that stroke's amazing. When he's on, my gosh, it's not just singles. I mean, it's extra. That's a double power. I mean, he gets lots of doubles, and I love having Freddie. I mean, I think the next 2 years, I'm not worried about him.
Yeah, I mean, mentioning they do have a lot of guys in the system too that could also, you know, fill that role. Of course, besides Dalton rushing, they have Tibbs coming up, and I think somewhere down the line, I don't know how Josue DePaula is going to work out in the outfield, but he may end up being first baseman at some point. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, he's been hitting the ball really well this spring too.
That's who I was thinking about too. Yeah, I mean,
good point. There's a lot of people that can play first base. Okay, So Edgardo Henriquez, let's put him on the board right here. This is a guy that, to be honest with you, I think if you follow any kind of our coverage, I've probably been more critical of him than anybody else in the system, and that's not because I don't. It's the exact opposite. I guess because I actually do think the world of Edgardo, and I want to see him reach his potential as far as results matching just how good the arm talent is. So I like the last outing for Edgardo Henriquez. I'm still, you know, a little bit frustrated with the execution piece. He's still young. So there's a lot of both sides right now to Edgardo Henriquez. I don't think he's going to make the opening day 26-man roster, but there's very few people on earth, if anybody, that has as much or more arm talent than Edgardo Henriquez. So right now, I'm still a little bit in the frustration stage with him, hoping that he works his way out of the execution piece. What do you guys think?
Well, as you mentioned, I mean, he has tremendous stuff, you know. So we talked about him last week, and his ceiling is really high, like a, you know, all-star closer probably as far as the ceiling goes.
That's how good the arm talent is. Yeah,
but he also, the floor is kind of lower on him too, because is he ever going to pull it together and get the command that he needs to reach what he can, you know, as far as that goes, and refine his secondary pitches. So, but if he can do that, I mean, he could be huge for the Dodgers.
Yeah, for me, I wish there wasn't a roster crunch because he's the one person I would actually like to see with the big club. So the pitching coaches with a big club can.
Great
I think
point.
he needs them to help him.
Yes,
because he's got everything. He's got the talent, everything else. I really wouldn't. I don't really want to see him in AAA. And with
great point.
Nothing against them, but I just think Pryor and the big club, I think they could do wonders for him if he was there every day. When he has a bad outing, they can get him corrected and keep him on track. That for me.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think it's the coaching aspect of it. I think you have a great point here. I think it's just the fact that he needs baseball corrects yourself. You don't need. This is why, as a coach, you don't need to be telling kids the mistakes they're making. They already know they made them. Baseball will tell you the mistakes that you're making. And the person who makes the mistake is the one who knows it at the very first. So it becomes about fixing your mistakes, fixing all those things. So to me, for a guy like Edgardo, Dalton rushing, the game's going to correct him. So whenever he's not pitching or executing the way he should, he's going to know it very fast. sometimes at the minor league level, like Chuck's saying, he cannot execute the way that he needs at a major league level and still get outs because the hitters aren't quite as talented or not as disciplined or whatever it may be. So he needs the correction that major league hitters give him. And then also I think it would behoove him to kind of have that runway to be able to have the ebbs and flows aspect of it. It just feels like the runway he has is if he struggles a couple times, he has to go back down. So he's always pitching in a mindset of, well, I've got to do good. If I have an outing that's not quite as good, I'm going back down. And that creates a press situation where you're pressing a little bit, and that sometimes makes it worse. So I just think that the way the game corrects yourself at the major league level, that then allows the coaches to help you make the adjustments because they know what they actually are, whereas in the AAA level, you're not going to be able to see what exact adjustments need to be made because you don't see him pitching to major league hitters. Am I on to anything here?
Yeah, I would say so. And another thing about AAA to me is that, because it's a difficult environment, almost in a way, a more difficult environment than the majors because a lot of the parks that you have, the altitude and everything, and all the traveling that they do and everything. So, it's a lot of hitters parks, on the AAA level. So it's hard to really sometimes know how well you're progressing in a way, I would say, because it's so challenging on that level too.
Yeah, because I think some of the things for him are subtle things that a pitching coach. It's like a fine tuning.
Yes,
he doesn't need a big overhaul. He needs just fine tuning.
Great point. Yeah, he doesn't need changes. He needs tweaks.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
100%. It kind of reminds me of these kids have hitting instructors and they go to them, and then these hitting instructors have so many kids that they work with. They never go see them playing games. All they ever do is see them hit soft toss or off a machine or off a tee. Well, okay, that guy might be able to teach you a swing, but he can't teach you how to hit because he or she doesn't know exactly how you function whenever you're actually facing in a live game in front of people and a ball coming at you. Yes, I know we can't see Mark. We have Craig, we have Chuck in the house right now, and I don't have the ability on my setup here to have three people on the screen. So it's going to be this way for just a minute going longer here. So I apologize for not having Mark on the screen right now. But hey, let's get to my next topic here, and that is as far as the Dodgers go. I don't know, Chuck, if you remember Jacob Amaya, but Jacob Amaya was in the Dodgers system. The Dodgers traded him for Miguel Rojas. He pitched the other day he played the other day for the Diamondbacks. He's in the Diamondback system. It was cool to see him. His grandpa Frank played in the Dodgers system in the 50s. Jacob was an all-star standout at West Covina, South Hills there in the LA area. He was committed to go to Cal State Fullerton. Instead, the Dodgers drafted him. It's a dream of him to become a Dodger someday, but it was cool to see Jacob Amaya again the other day.
Yeah, that's cool. I was looking, several years back, I was kind of tracking him to hoping he was going to hit the bigs. They had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have any thoughts on Jacob Amaya, seeing him the other day?
It's great to see those guys come back and play, and the local kids, that you kind of get to know, and that's cool to see, and I wish them all the best.
Yep. Hey, Chuck, do you got anything?
No, I think let me go so you can get Mark on the screen.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll put a comment in if I got something about what you're saying in the thing. But get Mark back on the.
You don't need to see my face on that.
All right. Hey, appreciate you as always, Chuck. Appreciate you. Great job, dude.
Yeah, and hook me up with Mark if you can. Mark is about 190-mile drive for me, so I got to plan it and go. So I'm on the coast there in California. So.
Fantastic.
Let's definitely meet up there when you come out. That'd be great.
I'm looking forward to seeing that place. So, you guys take care.
Okay, right, thank you, my man. See ya. All right, here we go. We're going to get Mark back on the screen right there, and there we go. Right. Okay, so awesome job there, Chuck, no doubt about it. Let's get into the next guy that I wanted to talk about here, and that is one Mr. Chris Campos. Let me get some video up on the board. as I do that, kind of, if you can, look up Chris at his numbers and just kind of how he's been. We talked about him just a minute ago, but he's a guy that very, very good. He has that curveball, the slider, very good fastball, high riding fastball. What I wanted to do is I wanted to circle back to him, and I wanted you to kind of give some of his numbers as far as spring training goes and where we're at with him, and just kind of how he's done from a statistical perspective so far in spring training. Chris Campos.
Yeah, he's gotten into 4 games and has 5 shutout innings, and he's had 9 strikeouts in those innings. Yeah. So he's been very impressive. Yeah, he seems like he's honestly on the fast track to the major leagues. Yeah. So the way he's going, looking really good. So I think he's definitely making a case for himself, for the long term, and maybe not so far away future to be a Dodger. So that's exciting to see.
Did you see the play that Zire Hope made the other day?
Is that the one where he kind of like went along the fence and snagged that ball? Yeah, that was
pretty
a nice
good play.
play.
He's pretty good. Yeah. Well, you got a chance to see Mark. You got a chance to see Zire Hope play, obviously before spring training this year, but for those who haven't, I think they've been impressed with him. What this is actually still Blake Treinen on the board. Let me actually get Zire Hope right there. Okay, here. Well, no, actually that's Mirage, because Blake Treinen's pitching and Zire Hope makes the play here. So, your thoughts on what you've seen from Zire Hope so far in spring training?
Yeah, he's been really impressive. I mean, his all around game, and just we've talked about his build and everything. Like you said, he's built like a tank, which you have to agree with that. But the guy's just got that power and like powerful body, and he seems to do everything well. I don't know how his arm is yet, but everything else that I've seen from him seems like he just has a really good all around game. So he's really been very impressive this spring. Definitely. I love his swing.
Yeah. So the arm on Zire Hope, we've seen the athletic ability, obviously the size, he's built like a tank, that we've seen the hit tool. So actually, whenever he got drafted, there was a question whether he was actually going to pitch or not. He was a pitcher. So
really?
Just to go to show you how good his arm actually is.
Okay.
There was, as good of a hitter as he is, there was still debate, even as a professional. Is he going to be a pitcher? Is he going to be an outfielder? Is he going to be a two-way player? What are we going to do with him? Obviously, when you see the massive exit velos he has, they went the hitter route. So to go to show how good his arm is, he actually, there was thought that he might be a professional pitcher instead of a position player. So take that into to thought, right? I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Right. Yeah, because you think about some of these guys that could potentially be like 5-tool type players, yes. And if he has the arm to go along with everything else, he could be that type of player, like a 5-tool type player.
Yeah, there's Kenny George right there. You see Zire Hope there at second base. So, okay, let's get into the Tyler Glasnow outing the other day. I thought Glass looked good the other day. Hey, we're both the eternal optimist here. And so, I'm not basing this on any kind of science or statistics, or I'm just kind of using my instincts and gut here, and I'm just seeing a Tyler Glasnow that looks a little bit different to me in terms of just maybe mentally. I don't know how to explain this, but he just looks confident. He looks comfortable. He looks relaxed. And a lot of times when you're in that mindset, you're a little freer and easier whenever you pitch, and then there's less chance of injury. So I know this is a guy in Tyler Glasnow that has never had a full season not being injured. I don't think he has. I'd have to look back, but it hasn't been in a while. I think this might be his first year where he gets the full workload, because I think the Dodgers have enough depth to where they're going to be able to, even if he's not on the injured list, to be able to workload manage him enough. I think Tyler Glasnow is poised to have a year to where he takes all of his starts, the starts that Dodgers want him to have, that's scheduled for him, and he stays healthy with them. I can't explain it. I have no scientific background information to back that up with. That's just kind of what I'm seeing in my gut feeling coming from what I'm seeing.
I mean, I think you nailed it, because to me, I've kind of been thinking the same thing. He just looks more comfortable out there on the mound, I've heard that he's added some weight to try to help him, overcome injuries, and he does look like he's a little bit thicker. So I think that they could help him, to just basically be consistent with his velocity and not have to work. That little extra weight can give you a little more ease with velocity, I guess you could say. But he looks very comfortable out there on the mound, and all his pitches seem to be working. So he's been really, really impressive out there. And I sure hope you're right that he's going to have an injury-free season. But obviously we haven't seen that. But he's looks like he's definitely on track.
I know the last guy we're going to talk about here, and then we're going to get out of here, that you're very, very impressed with. This is Ryder Ryan. This is a guy, this is Rivers' brother, so let's do the Ryan family a favor. This is a guy that's been in the major leagues. He's spent a lot of time at AAA. He has the good slider. He has a great mentality, great athlete. You see that slider there. This is a guy, Ryder Ryan, that I think has made a lot of hay with the Dodgers front office this spring training. They've been very impressed with him.
I agree. Yeah. And he's maybe a little bit of a dark horse to make the roster here because they may want to give some of the younger guys a little more seasoning in the minor leagues. Like, I mentioned before, it could come down to, a roster battle between Ryder and River, and they both look pretty good this spring. So I think Ryder has a chance, to possibly make the roster.
Yeah. What stuck out about him to you?
He looks poised out there, I think his poise on the mound, and he has a good mix of pitches. He doesn't, he looks just to me like his confidence and his poise on the mound. He looks like he can handle the job, I guess you could say. Okay.
I lied. I always do that. I always say, hey, this is our last guy, whatever. And then I always have one more that I want to cover. My man, actually your man right here. You love this guy, Emil Morales. You actually had a chance to talk to him several times there. Rancho last year. This is a young man. I'm going to let you dive in because you love this guy, Emil Morales. Love the Emil Morales. I love this guy.
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to mention that too because it was exciting to see him get into a game and get a hit. But he's a guy that has a great all-around game. And I've talked to some of the guys on the Rancho Cucamonga level, and they love his attitude. He's kind of has leadership qualities. So, it's really exciting to see him get into the game and come up with a solid hit right there. You
know what else is exciting? Okay, his swing gets too big sometimes. I mean, that happens with big guys like this. I mean, he's a big dude. He's, 6'2", 6'3", and he's thick, shortstop, third baseman type. So his swing gets kind of big. He kind of drops on the back, and then he swings up a little bit at it. Watch this, Mark. Watch how direct to the ball right there. See how direct he was to that ball? When he shortens his swing like that, let me run it in full time here. Watch the Emil Morales swing here. When he shortens up his swing and he makes a direct path like that, this guy is massively talented. So again, it's kind of like Chuck was saying earlier. It's not about changes. It's about the minor tweaks like, hey, let's make her swing a little bit less big. You're strong enough to, let's use the middle. Let's shorten this thing up. Let's make her swing a little shorter. Use the big part of the field. He showed you right there with that hit. He has the capability of doing that, but then you've seen it with your own eyes. He also has the capability of hitting the ball to the moon. And he's a good athlete. He's big. And one of the things I really like about him, Manny Pimentel mentioned, he definitely has leadership qualities, something that you got to see quite a bit in the dugout from him.
Yeah, the players just kind of seem to gravitate towards him. The other players, especially the Latin American players. So, but that, as you mentioned, that was a really nice stroke on that ball, and so it's hard to get too excited about one at bat, but that was exciting to see anyway. And another guy, Eduardo Quintero, got into a game. So
he sure did. Let me get that up on the. Hold on. Go ahead and what I call filibuster long. You know Eduardo well enough to know how to filibuster on him. So while I look for his video, go ahead and talk about. I know you love Eduardo Quintero, so talk about him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he walked. So, wasn't actually, I think he had 2 walks, I believe.
Yeah, I don't have any video from him from spring training yet because he hadn't done anything that I would rip a video for. So this is from last year.
Yeah, right. But it's great. I mean, it's great to see these guys get into the game. And I had a chance to talk to him a little bit at Rancho last year too. And he seems like a great kid. Unfortunately, there's a language barrier. So. Yeah. But he seems like a great kid, and he's just been playing lights out, in the minor league so far. So I'm excited to see where he can go.
You mentioned Zire Hope's arm the other day. Have you ever had a chance to see Eduardo Quintero throw a ball from the outfield, like as hard as he can?
Here's I have one not, right here. No.
He has a really good arm. And then the thing about that is look how accurate it is.
Yeah.
So not only does he have pretty much elite speed, he has the elite potential for power. He has very good potential to hit for a high batting average and decent bat-to-ball skills. There's always going to be give and take somewhere, and absolute elite defense because he's very fast. He takes very good angles. He takes his defense very personally, and he has the arm. So there's just really not anything about Eduardo Quintero. You know me, I don't like to put too much pressure on these guys, but and I'm not saying sometimes tools don't turn into results. I get it, but just looking at tools, just tools only, there is nothing not to be like 5-star excited about with Eduardo Quintero. I'm being that serious about this guy.
Yeah, I agree. And another big thing is he has a great approach at the plate. He's very patient. So, yeah, that's one thing the Dodgers have really stressed, that with a lot of their minor leaguers guys and they have that patient approach at the plate that, the Dodgers have this philosophy, like they like to make the other pitcher work, and they're really good at doing that throughout the organization. So he seems like he has that type of approach that would bode well for him.
All right, final thoughts here, Chuck. I know we have a question about the World Baseball Classic. I said Chuck. Mark, I'm sorry. We had a question about the World Baseball Classic. Full transparency, Mark and I we only have so much bandwidth. I've been covering OSU. I know, Mark, you've got a business you've been tending to. So we just haven't had enough bandwidth to really check out much more than just kind of the headlines and highlights of the WBC. Obviously excited that the United States snuck their way on the back door into the finals. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but other than that, I think I'm going to punt that question because I just would sound like a really big novice, and I hate doing that. But other than that, give your thoughts on that if you want to, and final thoughts here, Mark.
I mean, as I mentioned, I just hear like bits and pieces of what's going on in the news, and I'm excited, obviously, that Team USA is advancing. But I really haven't got a chance to watch much of it at all. So hopefully, in the next week or so, I'll get a chance to watch a little bit more of it and see how that goes. But yeah, I wish I'd had more time to watch that. Final thoughts, man, before we get out of here. Well, I didn't mention, but I was able to make it out to spring training last weekend. Cool. So yeah, that was exciting. I was kind of bummed. I love being out there. Love that atmosphere, and unfortunately I was really bummed because they had the backfields closed on the day that I was there, because I like to go to the backfields, and I've been able to talk to some of the younger players back there at times, but so that was a bummer. But it was I got to go to the Saturday night game, which was a 6:05 game. Yeah, cool. So that was fun to see. Cool. But it's I just love being in that atmosphere.
Hey, by the way, on the World Baseball Classic, you remember our text last year about Mark DeRosa, okay, the manager of I think he did an analysis on one of the Dodgers prospects. And right. I think, you remember that? Okay, yeah. And I only say that to say he's the manager, doesn't know the freaking rules, okay? You're my witness here. This was last year, way before he was way before. I mean, this was like mid last year. So this has the World Baseball Classic deal is just kind of more ammunition for me. But I have never been a fan of this guy. I've never been a fan of his analysis. I've never been a fan of his knowledge of the game. And whenever he does a breakdown of this and that, maybe it be a video breakdown of a swing or whatever, honestly, as much baseball as I like to watch, when I watch a segment of his, I leave more confused than I do anything else. So whenever we've got comments in here, please no more DeRosa, the team needs a manager, you're going to get no pushback from me. And Mark can tell you that's genuine. That goes a long ways back for him. Do you have any thoughts on that, the manager?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, we haven't really had a chance to see him actually manage, but we've talked about that, internally with some of our text, among the guys, the analysts here on Dodger Dawgs, and I hate to critique guys, but we're not impressed.
Yeah, no doubt. No
Put it
doubt.
that way.
Yeah. Leave it at that, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Appreciate it, Mark.
I think they could do better in terms of a manager.
100%
I'm not
they
sure
could.
why
Absolutely
he was chosen.
You could at least find
Yeah.
somebody to know. I mean, you could find a million people on earth that could at least take the time to find out the rules. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's kind of an embarrassment when you don't know the
I
rules
thought
like
it was
that.
kind of a admission that it's exhibition and you're not taking it as serious as you should. That was
Yeah,
kind of,
right.
Of course, I'm critical because I'm not very impressed with his analysis. Anyways. But, hey, Mark, appreciate
Right.
it. Great job as always.
All right, thanks, Casey, and thanks everybody watching. Great to have your involvement here.
All you wonderful Dodgers dogs, you are the absolute best. And remember, as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.